Hey guys, welcome to the investor.bet round 7 NRL betting trend report. Going to go through all 8 upcoming games this weekend, go through who I think is going to win each game, potential bets that I'm thinking of having on each game, how I'm looking at it, and also what the odds were and the betting trends from their previous matchups. As you can see on the screen here, the past 5 meetings, what the odds were, what the line was, what the total was, and have their previous meetings been going over, under the total, who's been covering, all that awesome stuff. But before we go through the games coming up this weekend, quickly recap last weekend's betting results and also where the results are sitting overall in the season for each team. So last round, 4 games went over the totals, 4 games went under. I spoke about how they lowered what the average total was going into last round because the previous round, a lot of games were going under, so they dropped the average total by 3 points last round. Only a couple more games went over. So I feel like that number's going to have to kind of stay around that mark of the 40.5 average total. If we look at the season results here for the total points betting, you'll notice 27 of the 48 games have gone under the total. Day matches, especially 9 of the 13, have gone under. And here we can break it down by individual teams. Bulldogs are a big underside. Cowboys, a big overside so far. Dolphins, interestingly, games going under the total. And the Tigers games definitely going under the totals. So that's how we can kind of pay attention and also look deeper into the different situations. But so far this season, majority of games have been going under. Then last weekend, also, the away teams covered 6 of the 8 games. So far this season, away teams did have a losing record and still do have a losing record, but that gap's kind of closing. And this is what happens kind of every season. And these numbers, there's not ever that much disparity, and hence why we want to look at the different situationals as to where teams are covering or not covering. Because what happens, just like with the totals, when games are going over, the books just increase their lines to make games start going under. And then, for example, home teams constantly covering, which I'll get to in a second in the NRL. Away teams covered 6 of the 8 games because the home lines started to exaggerate what the numbers really should be. Home teams were able to win 4 of the 7 games, plus obviously the Warriors, Manly, Sea Eagles draw, and home teams continuously performing well in the NRL on the outright moneyline market. Home teams won 35 of the 47 games with the result, plus 1 draw. And also home underdogs won 11 of 16 games. Underdogs covered 6 of the 8 games last round. So another good week for the underdogs. They've now covered 28 of the 48 games. So they're performing really well. The favorites who covered the spread last week were only the Broncos against the Dolphins and the Sharks against the Rabbitohs. And of those underdogs, where I said 6 of the 8 of them did cover the spread, only 3 of them were able to win outright. Those teams were the Roosters against Newcastle, the Eels beating the Cowboys, and then the Dragons beating the West Tigers, who were favored. So that's the quick recap of last week. Now looking ahead to this week, where there are a number of really, really good games coming up this weekend. So it starts on Thursday night with the Roosters against the Storm, where 11 of the past 15 matches between these two sides have gone under the total points line. I've set at 39.5, which is exactly what it was in their last meeting. I'd definitely be leaning towards the under in this game, but I'd like to see that number over 40. From who's going to win the game perspective, Storm have won 8 of the past 9 versus the Roosters, and the away team has covered 5 of the past 6. Currently, the Roosters are small favorites. Some books have them at a pick'em, $1.90 either way. Other books have the Roosters as small favorites. I'll be leaning towards the Storm in this matchup. Dragons take on the Warriors. Warriors are 6.5-point favorites for this game. Last time they met in Sydney, the Warriors were 6.5-point favorites for that game as well, and won 48-18. The Warriors have won the past 2. However, the Dragons have covered the spread in 3 of the past 4. This game, I suspect that the Warriors will be winning. They didn't really perform up to their best last week against the Sea Eagles, who kind of got a bit of a jump on them. Warriors came back. Then Manly looked like they had the game won, and Warriors were able to score and then get a penalty goal in the final couple of minutes to send the game to golden point in a game which was in poor conditions. Feel like this is a kind of a 1-12 game for the Warriors. Also, 10 of the past 15 between these sides have gone under the total points line at 43.5. It is fairly high for these two sides. Interestingly, the last matchup was 49.5. But as you can see, and something I talk about a lot, is betting companies use what the odds were in these same situations to set the odds for these games. And these sides only met in Sydney in round 17 last season and would effectively have the exact same market or very close to it from that matchup. But slight lean towards the under, but definitely more keen on the Warriors to win. Statistically, the Warriors are better on both sides of the ball and rank better in almost every key category. So effectively, they should be winning this game. Eels take on the Dolphins, only the one meeting, which was round 17 last season, where the Eels won 48-20. Exact same line this time around. Eels -6.5 again. Off last week with the Eels beating the Cowboys, scoring 27 points against a bad defensive side. I do like the over in this game at 44.5. It was 46.5 in their last meeting. I suspect this is going to be a high scoring game. I'll be looking towards the Dolphins team total again. They kind of missed a lot of opportunities against the Broncos last week and should have put more points on the board. So considering they're a 6.5 point underdog, I can see them scoring close to that 20-point mark. Statistically wise, they're still the number 2 ranked attacking side in the league. And that's most likely how I'm going to be playing that game. Panthers take on the Tigers. Penrith coming off the bye, 14.5 point favorites. The Tigers have covered the last 4 against Penrith and covered 6 of the past 8. So West have a really good record in this matchup. Big double-digit spread here. Makes it not really ideal to take Penrith, even though they should win this game. Probably more value in the Penrith 1-12 than the Tigers plus 14.5. However, the Tigers did win the matchup in round 9 last season, 12 points to 8, when Penrith were a 17.5 point favorite. So the line movement is probably on point from their past meeting, but it's probably not an ideal bet either way. What's also interesting is the past 9 between these two sides have gone under the total points line. I feel like which is a better angle in this matchup. Last time they met, it was 39.5. This time around, 41.5. I definitely like this game to be going under the total points line. So I'll be monitoring that as a potential play for this game. For all my official bets, make sure you check back on the channel later in the week, closer to game times, and I'll post a video going through previewing that game in depth, the statistics, and even more analytics to actually break down the matchup in full, especially once lineups and all that information is out. And then I'll go through my exact bets once I've locked them in for those games. So make sure you subscribe, you got notifications on so you don't miss those. Titans versus Seagulls. The numbers definitely favor Manly in this matchup. They are coming back from New Zealand, which isn't ideal. But the Gold Coast Titans are coming back from a close loss to Canberra in the late game on Sunday. So the Seagulls have an extra day's rest. Both teams traveling, but back-to-back road games for the Seagulls. Not super ideal, but they should be winning this game. 7 of the past 10 between these two sides have gone over the total, set at 46.5. Going to look deeper into the team totals for this, see what the Seagulls totals set at, but it's probably going to be in the high 20s based on what the current line is and the total, which probably won't be ideal, but maybe looking at the Seagulls to cover the -9.5, especially with 7 of the past 8 between these two sides being decided by 13 plus. Numbers heavily favor the Seagulls, especially in attack. Defensively, the Seagulls aren't that strong, hence why we're getting such a high total for this game. But that travel for Manly makes me a little bit wary. But this is a game they definitely can't take lightly. The Titans have won the past 2 against them in 2023 and round 22 in 2022. Important game that the Seagulls don't take it lightly. But yeah, I'm potentially looking at the -9.5 there for Manly. Broncos versus Raiders. The Raiders have won 4 of the past 6 against the Broncos, but when you look at a little bit further. Broncos have won 11 of the past 17 in this matchup. But Raiders do have that recent good history against them. What's also interesting is 10 of the past 13 have been decided by 1 to 12 points. Now, even though statistically Canberra actually rank higher than the Broncos in almost every key metric, both in attack and defense, I think Broncos at home win this game, but I'll be looking at the 1 to 12 margin. I'll also definitely be considering an over 43.5 bet in this game. Both sides are good attacking sides. They're both top 5 attacking sides, and Broncos not all that strong defensively. And Canberra are better defensively, but that's slowly starting to drop off. So in between Broncos 1 to 12 and backing the over in that game. Bulldogs take on the Knights. Newcastle are small favorites here, 1.5 points. Last time they met, the Knights were a 10.5 point favorite. In the 2 games last season, Newcastle won 42-6 and then 66-0. So they've definitely racked up a score in those past 2, both games last season against the Bulldogs. Newcastle realistically should be winning this game. They've won 5 of the past 6 against the Bulldogs. These sides are fairly even though. With 14 of the past 17 head-to-head going under, this is a game where the under is probably a good play. At 42.5, still touch on the low side based on the last 3 matchups, and 4 of the last 5, the total has been higher for this game. However, feel like this could be a game where you can look out the either side to win by 1 to 10 or 1 to 12 points as a try bet in this matchup. Feel like it's a game that really could go either way, and likely looking through the numbers, both sides are very, very even. And so it could be 4 to 6 points either way type of game. And then last game of the round, Sharks take on the Cowboys. Sharks at home here. Cowboys back-to-back road games in Sydney last week. They were down there playing Parramatta. Then they come back down again this week to play the Sharks. Sharks only 2.5 point favorites. Cowboys still the number 1 attacking side in the league, but they have no defense, and the Sharks should be able to capitalize on that. Cronulla have won 10 of the past 11 against the Cowboys. They've covered 7 of the past 8. Only a small line here. I think the Sharks get it done at home, and I'll definitely be looking at the -2.5, and I like the Sharks to be winning this game. Really not an ideal situation here. For the Cowboys. Sharks, top 5, top 6 defense in most categories should be enough to stop the Cowboys. So that will more than likely be a bet there on Sunday to close out the round. So definitely check back in. The purpose of this video is to go through what the odds were, what the trends were, and which way I'm leaning in these games. And then I'll lock in my bets as we get closer to game time, and I'll post those videos up for you guys to follow along. If you want to make money betting on the NRL this season, make sure you check out the other videos on the channel. I'm posting more videos going through strategies, angles, and statistical things that you can look at to make sure you're making the best possible bets every time. So keep an eye out for those videos coming out very soon.